Hi, good morning. So, I am just about to brief you about this employee management system, basically, a kind of web application I have made. So, let me show you what it does. So, it's very simple, basic employee management system where you can just update details like first name, last name, email. Obviously, you can add some more columns and details later if you want to. You can delete the particular employee and you can view details as well, the same details that are visible on the dashboard. So first we'll just add a employee, and let me quickly put his name as a demo first, just to show you that this is demo last and the demo@demo.com. So basically we have just filled all the details in, and now we are gonna save this employee in our employee management system. So this employee is now visible at the last. Here the demo first is first name, demo last, and suppose if we want to update it, suppose we have done something wrong in the first name and we want to update it as first, so we can just quickly edit it out, and we can just edit its email also, so it's updated. Now if you want to view this employee, so you can click on this view employee first name first and all the details. And suppose you want to delete this employee, just quickly take a case where the employee leaves the organization and you want to delete it out of your employee management system. You can just click on delete, so this employee has been deleted. So here is the database we are working on. We have made a database called employee management system, and the table name is employee. You can see the schema over here. There is an employees table, and the schemas are columns are ID, email ID, first name and last name. So if we run this query just to check what are the details, what are the rows and columns available in our table, so we can just run this query in our workbench, and here we can see the all the details of the first name, last name, and we can see that there is no demo first which we added and deleted. Suppose we want to delete this Raghav Agrawal, so you can just hop it on the browser and you can just click on delete button, and you can check the same employee has been deleted. So this is how this application works. So now we'll go and check the code. So the technologies used on the client side, React. Basically React is a library. It cannot be called as a framework. It is a library by Facebook, and ES6, which is also called as modern JavaScript. And to run and create this application in the React, we have used Node.js and npm. So npm is what provides you with already created a demo React application, which works on the browser. It's a very quite simple React application which you can create by running npx create react app command. And then for editing the code, then enhancing the code that npx has created, we will use an editor, VS Code IDE, uh, and then the CLI, which we have discussed, create React application. And also we have used Bootstrap. So Bootstrap provides you already built classes and functions. It just for easing the process out. Like if you have to make or create a card in CSS, it just provides you some basic classes like card, body, and all, which you can use to create it. Basically, provides a very simple and abstract method of creating all these things. And now the most important and different thing is Axios library. So Axios is what connects the Spring Boot application, and which basically use REST APIs calls, and it just processes your API. So it just connects to HTTP server also. So Axios is what we have used for that. And for the server side technologies, we have taken Spring Boot. Spring Boot is a kind of uh, framework, we can say, for Spring and Java. And we have added JPA library, JPA, Spring JPA dependency. So we can check the dependencies in our pom.xml file. So we have added multiple dependencies along with JPA, which is used for our database. So here are all the, this is the dependency I am talking about. And we have used Maven is what provides you a basic, very important functionality to just, you can just get rid of adding dependencies manually and all the jar files. So Maven does it for you. You don't have to add manual dependencies and JDKs in Java and all manually. It does it for you. Maven does it for you. And we have used JDK, Java Development Kit, and Tomcat as a server. And database, for database we have taken MySQL. So it's a kind of relational databases, not like MongoDB where you use key and value pairs. We have used MySQL, so the data is stored in tables. So just let me quickly show you the main file. And here is the Spring Boot main file which will run. So it has the class which is a main class which you can run, and this already created application or method, run method. So here is a controller. Here's a controller. Just, this is how this application works. At the Spring Boot layer, controller is what it maps your URLs to the particular page you want to see. Like if you want to see employee details, and there is a page named employee details, so you must have seen that in the URL part there is a slash employee details and all. So this mapping is done by this controller layer. We have provided get mapping, post, put, and all those mappings in this layer. For service layer, we have written business logics, that what has to be done with all these things. And for the repository or DAO layer, so basically this is the layer we have which we have used to write our database code to connect it with DB, which is MySQL in our case. And to connect all these things with our React, which is the most important part for user point of view, user's perspective, because it has to be interactive enough to connect it with database. So we have used router and components, router can call and components, and we have used services, and we have used Axios HTTP library to connect it with our Spring Boot application. So this is a very brief and superficial view of our application. And here's our controller. So the first controller is get mapping. We have auto wired this employee repository. So for the repository we have taken a entity file where we have just auto used an annotation entity, and we have used an annotation table where we have provided our table name as employees, and we have used id as a generated value, what it is in generated value. So when we use just Postman or any Thunder client kind of stuff to check our REST APIs, the id is auto generated even if we don't provide it. So for the first name, we have annotated this with columns. So column is what it tells your database that which column name is used for this kind of value. So for the first name we have used this first underscore name in the database. So and we have generated some constructors and getter setter methods for this. So basically we have this entity file, and this is our repository file. So this extends JPA repository and CRUD repository. So basically it's a kind of marker interface. It doesn't have body, but it is used to just inherit all those methods it provides, like save all, find by ID, and all these already built methods, which eases our applications and our labor work we are doing to writing our code. So JPA repository does that. It simplifies our effort we put. And this is an exception class. So basically it extends this runtime exception extends serializable interface. So serialization is when you want to save your object state. Suppose you want to uh, transport your object somewhere, so you cannot transport it directly because it is very exposed to the malicious things, the hackers and all those things out there. So you need to convert it into a byte stream, and for that, for converting your code into byte stream, we have to make it serializable. And through serialization we save our object state into a file, and then we can deserialize it. So for that, to check that out, that the same class is used for serialization and deserialization, we have taken this serial version uid. There is not very much important role because we are not deserializing or serializing anything in our app, but we have to take this because it's quite important for encryption kind of purpose. And now we have already seen this employee controller. It is auto wired employee repository, so it will basically recognize it with the same name. And if we have annotated it with get mapping, so if we are using REST controller, so we can annotate it with mappings like get mapping, post mapping. If we don't use REST controller, if we are using simple controller method, controller annotation, then we have to provide all that request body and kind of mapping we are doing with this method. So this has provided this find all method. In get mapping we have a method called get all employee, and we have returned the find all method, which basically returns all the employees present in the database. For the post mapping, we have taken this employees, which we are talking about the URL thing, that the slash and the some term. So we have just used this create employee. Like if we have to add our employee, add a different employee, then we can use this post mapping, and this will basically save that employee object we are using. We are taking an object of the employee class, and we are saving this. And here this is find by id. If we want to find some employee by id, we have used this method like find by get employee by id, and we have set this as path variable long id. We have set this as this the id we are providing over here. We have set this id as a path variable, so we are converting it into java. And in the second line, in this line, we have used lambda expressions. So basically this employee repository thing, this has a find by id method where we are providing id, or we have a kind of an option thing where we have to say what if it doesn't get any employee, what in that case what would happen. So we have to make an option for that. So we have used or else through, and it is a kind of functional interface. So it has used the lambda expression, and we have not argumented it with anything, and it has thrown the resource not found exception, and we are passing a message into it with along with the id. This message is going into this class resource not found exception class, and simply it is just passing this message to its super class. So this is printing the message with the error that employee does not exist with the id. Suppose we have three employees, 1 2 3, their ids are, and we are passing 4, then the fourth employee is not present in our database, so this exception will be thrown. And similarly, this is the put mapping where we are updating our employees, where we are just setting first name, last name and email ids, and just returning the same kind of object. And here we are deleting. So now we have almost seen the database thing, backend thing. So now we are hopping on it onto the React part. So here is our app.js file where we have used routes and components. We have used switch. So basically in router we have to take a header, and this is a particular sequence we need to follow, because in router we have to write switch and all kind of route paths. So we have to take exact component. Suppose we are not taking exact component, so the React will be confused which component it needs to return. So we have to in at least one route path we have to take exact component. And we have made a header. So header is what uh, is this thing, employee management app, this thing, and footer is this thing. So you must have seen this kind of stuff in most of the websites out there. So this is header part and this is footer part. And now we have this create employee component. So in create employee component we have basically not made a function component. We have taken a class component. We have used constructor, and this we have said that we have taken this empty strings like first name, last name, email id. So basically these are the input fields. So what these fields are doing, suppose we have binded this with on change and this handler change first name handler. So suppose we have an input field, and it's first at first on initialization thing, it is an empty string and it is filled with empty thing. So if we are using on change handler and we are changing we are changing its field, like we are writing even a letter or changing any kind of stuff, writing a word in it, so it will save the state along with our function. So it will change the state in first name, last name, and email id thing, and then it will bind this with this handler change first name handler and save or update all these things. And then here we have called our service. So in services, we have in our components part we have React classes and components, and we have our extensions like JSX, which we basically use for React parts. You can also use JS, but in our services class we have used employee service.js. Basically, this is a JavaScript file, and we have used Axios library, which we are talking about for HTTP thing in here. So it provides a method like get employees, create employees, and we are returning basically this base URL we have created so for our application. So basically this Axios is returning this base URL thing and posting and getting or putting or deleting as per our request. So this is the very important part as per our application, because we are using backend front end and database and all these things, so we have to use Axios. And in our update component the same thing is happening, like we are updating, like we have updated here for this. If the user click on cancels button, so it manipulates it goes to our history part in browser's history, and it just pushes this employees thing. It just manipulates it with id, because at first there it is written as localhost 8080/employees and the id of the employee we are updating. But if we click on cancels button, it just get rid of this id, and it returns a kind of list we had previously before clicking on update button. And this console.log is to just check just to debug our app whether it is working fine, whether it is returning the correct output or not. And here's a list employee component, and the component did mount method is used just because when our component get mounts in the browser, so this method is the first to run. So if here the service method, what service method returns is the our promise. So we have to use then and catch. So we have used then, and we have just used an arrow function and passed our response to it, and we have set our state accordingly. So this is why we have used component did mount. And we have added if we have to add some employees out there, and we have click on add employee, so it is just manipulating the history and URL, and it is using -1 and all. So we have used btn. So basically this is a class. In React we don't use class as we were doing in Java. We use class name, and we are using button primary. So if we using button primary, it will automatically provide you with a button in a blue color, and if you are using button success, so it will be a green color, and if you are using button danger, so it will be a red color. So this is the function of bootstrap. So you have to install bootstrap. We can check that bootstrap is already installed in our package.json. We have bootstrap, we have Axios, we have React Router down. So if you want to use Bootstrap in your application, you can just click on install Bootstrap. And also on the Bootstrap official website, it is very much documented over there that how to use Bootstrap in your application, so you can check it out. And to run that application, you have to use npm start, and here the npm start, this React application will start. And for that, in that Spring Boot application, you can just run at Java application, and this Spring Boot application will start. So it will be all mapped through this. So if we don't use this cross origin thing, here's a cross origin thing. If we don't use this cross origin, so there will be an error like CORS error. So to get rid out of to get rid of that error, we use cross origin. So this is all about this application. Thank you.